Obviously, exciting week for us. It's hard to believe that it's for real this coming week, but these girls have been working extremely hard. I said this the other day at a luncheon, and I really mean it. I've been blessed to do what I do for 30 plus years, and I think as a coach, you recognize when you've got a special squad. And these girls have just been so resilient and have worked so hard. I think they're one heartbeat out there in that locker room and on the court. And we certainly still have a lot of work to do. We've got plenty of areas we've got to get better at. But I really like where we're at, and they've just been so much fun to coach. So we're excited about the season. We have high aspirations. We understand it's a marathon, not a sprint. There's going to be a lot of challenges. Very few seasons go without any kind of adversity, but I really like what's in that locker room, and I feel like we're in a really good place.
So, Robin, you opened up with Missouri State, obviously a team that you struggled with last year. What does it mean to get that team right off the bat? There's a way to kind of flush what happened this year.
Yeah, I don't know if it's ideal or not, but it is what it is. Sometimes scheduling, it's just, I don't know. It's not a perfect science, and last year was the end of our contract with them, and so this is the start of a new renewal. And they really needed a game last year when we scheduled it at home. And I just, a lot of people have said, why in the world do you ever play that game? What does Mizzou benefit from it? But I think it's really important. I've got a lot of respect for the history of that program. I think there's a lot of players on that roster that many of our players have played against or with in high school and AU ball. And I think it's become a really I think, good game for our fans too. And so I think it's really important. I said this probably 2 or 3 weeks ago in practice, and I just said, when we tip on November 7th, we've got to make sure that we've prepared ourselves and that and we're ready for this moment. That we really eliminate the outside distraction, the outside noise. We can't do anything about last year. The only thing we can focus on is what's in front of us. And so let's make sure we put in the work and that when the ball is tipped, we're prepared and we just focus on being the best version of ourselves we can be.
Is that contract, are they coming to Missouri next year?
Yes, yeah, it's always a 2-year contract. Yeah.
What are some of the benefits to starting off with a difficult matchup like that?
Yeah, like I said, I think there's pros and cons, and unfortunately scheduling is, it's challenging, much more challenging than people think. You got home volleyball games, you want to stay away from those weekends, home football games that you need to stay away from, and then in addition to that, you've got concerts and different things going on at the arena, and we've also got to work hand in hand with men's basketball, and so it's really kind of becomes a complex challenge to figure out that kind of scheduling. And so it definitely wasn't necessarily by design, but that's the way the date worked out best for both parties. And honestly, I'm excited about going on the road with this group. I think it's going to be great. There's years that you feel like you want to kind of get a couple home games under your belt, but I'm excited to go on the road with these guys and just settle in. I think taking road trips, there's a lot of opportunities for more team bonding, and maybe you deflect some of that pressure that you might be feeling because they want it so bad and they want it so bad for our fans, and so just to get a game under our belt on the road, I think it's going to be really good for us.
And looking at your non-conference schedule as a whole, what are you expecting to see from this group? What do you want to see over the next sort of 6 weeks?
Yeah, it's a tough non-conference schedule, and I've been preaching that since I think June and July. I just said, we have got to be ready. There's, first of all, anything can happen on any given night, but I think, we really felt like as a conference, we all needed to up the ante in regards to our non-conference schedule, and so we really tried to do that, and, just be proactive and playing teams that I think can prepare us for SEC play. And so there's some tough teams, some back-to-back games that I think are really going to be challenging for us. But, when you talk to players, as coaches, you get a little hesitant because you know what's coming up, the gauntlet that's coming up in the SEC. But if you ask these guys, the tougher the schedule, the better. I mean, they want to play those games, and I know that they're excited about it.
Or when you look at this team which you have this year, what's different? What stands out to you?
I think right off the bat, just our connectivity. I think that our chemistry off the floor has really contributed to our chemistry on the floor. I think just spending time together, being intentional, about building our relationships has really just helped us like click out there on the floor. And I think just having the element of like having each other's backs just brings like an extra little oomph to the team. So yeah.
What are some of the things that you've done over the course of the off-season that have contributed to that?
First, I think we went to Fear Fest, haunted house, which is fun. Get scared together.
Fun
so,
for some of them.
Yeah, maybe not one person in this room, but yeah, just like going to dinner, hanging out at each other's houses, going to the lake, just things like that. It's just little stuff off the court. Those little moments they build trust and relationship. So just a whole bunch of that throughout the last 6 months.
How important is that when you've had a little bit of turnover in a team as a coach? How important is that to see that within your players when there has been a little bit of movement over the off-season?
Well, the really cool part about it is that it's been very organic, and I think that's when there's true value to it. I think our incoming players, both our freshmen and Caitlin, have really elevated our team. They've been great additions for us. These guys, returning players, last year didn't end up the way we wanted it to. I mean, we're all remembering March 13th. We throw it out there every now and then just for a little extra motivation. And as long and I said to these guys, as hard as that was, as long as we can learn from it, it's got an opportunity to propel us to heights that we couldn't have went to without going through it. And for that, you've got to be really grateful. And as long as you use it, and use it to motivate you and learn lessons from it. And I think that's a big part of it. They understand. They know what it needs to look like. They understand what it's going to take. And we've just had a lot of success when that culture's right and that chemistry's right and we got the right people, on that bus. We've been able to do some special things, and I think that's the case with this team. I love the connectivity, but in addition to that, I think we've got some really talented players, and we go probably deeper than we have in the past, which is exciting, and a lot of players that have really embraced their role. And we're still kind of defining that a little bit, figuring out good shot versus great shot, and understanding how to play to our own strengths. There's still a work in progress with that, but they want it. They want to embrace it. They want to understand it. We brought in the program, an organization this summer or this fall that I thought was really good for us. And there's an analogy. We went over to the wrestling room and did some things with them, and it just really helped us focus on, man, everyone's got a role, and your role is really important, but you've got to own your role for the success of our team. And we reflect on that a lot, and I think it really resonates with our team because we experienced that. So that was a great experience for us as well.
Coach, last time we talked about the scrimmage being canceled, and you were kind of looking at it, well, you have a few more days to practice now. Just over those last few practices leading up to Monday, what are you guys really honing in on?
Just trying to sharpen up some things, clean up some things. We'll start practice today with a little film session from Wednesday. And I saw a lot of really good things on Wednesday. I know it just was not what we all wanted, not to play, but I think it has really been a blessing for us because we've been able to take advantage of a couple more practice days instead of lightening up the day before and maybe limited minutes in an exhibition game. I think big picture is probably a really good thing for us. And I felt like they did a phenomenal job on Wednesday in practice. Now there's still some teachable moments that we'll go back and look at, but just want to build on that. That was a big point of emphasis this week is we wanted to win the week. We knew it was really, really important that every day we start to show, that consistency that it's going to take. So when the lights go on Monday, that we're calm, cool, relaxed, and we're just going to trust, the work that we put in, and it'll play out however it's supposed to play out.
For you guys as returners, just what's some of the biggest things that you're telling the newcomers to this program?
I think as returners, it's our job to just kind of take them under our wing and help them in practice, help them just adjust to college life and all the things that entails. And I just think just helping them to stay confident, be consistent, keep dedicating yourself, and when you put the work in, it'll pay off in whatever way that comes out. So I just think taking them under our wing and really just incorporating them into everything that we're doing.
Mama, I saw you went to Spain over the summer. I was wondering what that experience meant for you to get to go back to your home country, wear your home country's colors, and grow as a basketball player.
And win a gold medal.
I think it was great. I feel like in the SEC I learned a lot of things that then it was translated in my game, and people could literally tell like how much it changed and everything. So I think it was just great to have the opportunity to play for my country and then have like my family happy about it and everything, and then come back here and trying to bring this energy and everything I learned and try to help my team.
What are some of the things that you've done to kind of elevate your game, especially with the summer playing in international and different ways?
I feel like just playing in the SEC gave me the confidence that probably I didn't have 2 years ago, and just be there and being able to step up and take the shots that I had to take. So I feel like games like South Carolina, Florida, there was games that literally like I remember those and I just had them in my mind, and I was like, if we were able to do that in the SEC, I definitely can come here and help my team, and I think that's what I did.
For Mama and Lauren, how much does that South Carolina game still sort of live in your minds as you're moving into this new season where you might be underdogs a little bit, but knowing that you can do that, how much does that still come up, and how much do you still remind yourself of that now?
I feel like what I got from that game is just the attention to detail and taking care of the small details, and I feel like that's what gave us the win. And I feel like if we can clean up those things and really pay attention on that, we can do great things. I mean, we have everything we need, and this team has the connection that Lauren was talking about, so it's just putting these little things together.
Yeah, I think too, just bottling up that, just that tightness that we had and that closeness, and then carrying it over with us. But at the same time, I think it's just capturing that us versus them, us versus everybody mentality, and I think just seeing that we can win more big games like that, and that's not going to be like the only one that we're ever going to want to like think about, like we want more. So I think just attacking this season, knowing like that if we stick together, those are the type of things that we can do.
I was going to say, how many times have you seen that replay of your layup over the summer?
Too many.
Lauren, when it comes to some of the younger players, you talk about taking them up your wings. Obviously, Ashton is an offensive player, shoot, but like, what are you telling her as you kind of take her under your wing as an offensive player yourself?
I think for me,
Lauren's becoming a defensive player.
yeah.
We've really worked hard on that in the off season, so I don't want to just put that cap on her. She's becoming an all-around player. You're welcome.
Appreciate it, Coach P. I think just the transition from college, from high school to college, just can be really difficult, and just like figuring out your spots and everything. And I think just keeping her confidence high. So it's more just encouraging her. I think that she wants to be the best version of herself, and so sometimes it's hard for her to just be like, let it brush off her back and just keep going. So I think just kind of like encouraging her and pouring back into her.
Lauren, you're from New York. How has that prepared you to come to Mizzou and kind of transfer that game that you had in New York to Mizzou?
If you know me, you know it's like a huge part of who I am and my personality on and off the floor. So I think it's just like the competitiveness in me, the intensity. So I think it's just kind of who I am, and I just try to bring that onto the floor, and like everything that I've learned from home, just take my game and put that wherever I'm at. Yeah.
When you talk about some of these players that are getting better, like you mentioned, Lauren getting better on defense, and having these players learn different parts of the game, how does it help you kind of fine-tune a lineup? And maybe not just a starting lineup, but different lineups you can play to kind of create mismatches and exploit the teams?
Well, I think we all understand that, in that locker room, everybody brings great value. But at the same time, everybody's strengths are a little bit different. And how do you really, number one, be really clear as a coach what those roles, and define those roles for your players. And sometimes they're going to like them, sometimes they're not. But this is what we need out of each individual for our team to be the best version of itself it can be. In that value, it looks different for everyone, but how do you own your role? And so that's stuff that we've talked quite a bit on, and I really think our experience with the program, again, has been a great couple days for us to reflect back on, because it was a real-time experience that we had that we can get drawn back to that moment. But honestly, it's such a great group to coach. And I always say iron sharpens iron, and after 30 years of coaching, these guys continue to sharpen me. And so when you're able to say that as a coach, you know you got a pretty special squad. I've got a great staff, great players, and at the end of the day, it truly feels when we're in that locker room that we're in this together. It's not players versus coaches, or just it's the bottom line is together. It's us against everyone, and that's I think how it feels in that locker room and on that court on a daily basis, and it's really refreshing. That's what it's supposed to be like.
I know you brought up Jasmine on your staff. What does she bring? I know you mentioned before she's got the WNBA pedigree, but what else does she bring to this team?
Yeah, honestly, I think it's been really good to have just a fresh set of lenses. I've been so blessed with the people that I get to coach alongside. They're just incredible human beings, great coaches, but even better people, and so loyal. And so I've been really, really blessed. I've always kind of hired from within my, kind of family tree a little bit. And so it's been really cool for me to bring in somebody from the outside. It had to be that right fit, that right person, somebody that aligned with our core values and how we try to show up every day. And she absolutely embodies all of that. In addition to that, really high basketball IQ. Really good, I think, with her skill breakdown in her skill development. She's got just a defensive mindset, which I love. She's still young enough that she's got that toughness to her that, well, this is how I did it, so they should have to do it. And these guys don't even know that because they're not in those coaches' meetings. But, the one thing I need her to continue to be vocal. I think sometimes that's hard as a young assistant. But she has added so much to our staff on the court and off the court.
Coach, you've mentioned a lot about how you like the connectivity and just how the team's clicking right now. How would you say a lot of your newcomers have done in just coming into the program and just meshing right away with everyone?
If I said I liked it, then that was an understatement because I absolutely love it and I value it, and I'm so proud of the connectivity that we're forming in that locker room, and just one heartbeat is really powerful. I think all of our new players have absolutely elevated us. They've got motors. They're passionate about the game. They're passionate about and appreciative of the opportunity that's in front of them to be here. And so they've got great heart postures and just great human beings that really align with our core values and who we are and what we stand for. And that alone, I think, puts you in a really good position. Now you add that to the talent that we have and the versatility we have on that roster. You got a shot to do some special things. I think Avery, just her nonstop energy is mind-blowing at times, but also so I think, I don't know, I think it's infectious. And, she talks all the time, nonstop. And that's energy that we need. Again, everybody brings different values and different strengths, and that's one of hers. And I think to come in as a freshman and do that, it's pretty impressive. Ashton is such a competitor. Everything she does, almost to the point where, we got to help her, like Lauren said, be able to, just brush it off a little bit and move on. But if I had to have it one way or another, I'd much rather have that competitive spirit and try and dial it back versus try to light a fire, within somebody. And so, but when Ashton kind of lets go, she's got a pretty infectious personality as well. And then KG, just her maturity. I think she hasn't been here long, but when she speaks, I think people really value her voice. She's been very successful as a McDonald's All-American, that's competed at a very high level. She has a pretty good understanding of what it takes, and she's real talk, and that's hard to do coming in. But, she'll just call a spade and own it, and there's no drama to it or no ill intention, but this is the reality of it, and this is what we've got to do, and we've got to keep moving along. But I think all three of them have been tremendous additions to our program.
We'll take a couple more if you have.
How much, a relief is it to have that mesh, that connectivity when there was a little bit of exodus at the end of last season?
Well, I think, when you go around the room and you ask our players, why did they come to Mizzou? What was it that made you decide you want to be a part of this? And I think all of them will talk about our culture. They've watched us from afar on TV or, on their visits, and they felt like what we had was different. And so I think it's something, we all yearn for, but it's just not always that easy. Being selfless, that's a hard thing to do, on the court, off the court, especially in a world today where it's supposed to be me, what makes me happy. But we're saying, okay, no, pour into other people, no matter how you feel, pour into other people. That servant leadership, that's a hard thing. But it has been consistent. It's a real thing within that locker room. It started back in June or maybe April. It started in April, and I have had zero issues in that locker room, zero phone calls about any sort of thing that's going on. They are doing a tremendous job in the classroom. Tremendous job. Like I'm uncharted territory, and not to put pressure on you guys, but I mean, and they're in tough majors. They've been tremendous in the community and how the role models that they've been, and they come to practice and they just get after it and work. There's just no, it's one heartbeat. It's one mission, and it's mission first, and it's team always, and that's just the way they go about their business. It seems like a very, very mature team to coach every day, and I love it.
Well, I was just kind of curious, the process of how last year ended with March 13th, but also and WNIT loss. I was just curious, what was the process like of turning that pain into motivation, and how long did that kind of take for it to settle into motivation?
You mean like, you're talking about March 13th?
Yeah, when not getting into the tournament, but then the WNIT loss. Yeah.
I think that was a really hard day for us because we were in the mindset of like, we pretty much thought that we were in it, and we thought that we put ourselves in a good position. So obviously it was pretty devastating. But I think that we tried to band together the best we could to play the WNIT and try to make a run that way. But I think just learning from the whole experience, I think we bottled it up and we kind of say to each other, like Coach B said, remind each other what that felt like. And this year we don't want to be in a position where we're on the bubble, we might get in, we might not. We want to, our goals are way higher. Like we want to be top 4 in the SEC tournament. We want to make to the Sweet 16. So it just kind of showed us like where we want to go and kind of go past that, and just the little details that go into putting ourselves in that position.
For both of you guys leading into the season and just kind of determining with this group your role, just where you think your best fit is to help the team succeed.
I think mine starts with being more vocal. I feel like I'm a junior now and I have experience. There is no excuse about the Spanish anymore, so I think it's being vocal and just being honest to each other, and also being able to lead the team. I mean, at the end of the day, I have to be the coach in the court, and I think I have to embrace that process, and I feel like I'm getting better at it, but definitely I need to still keep working on it, but I think that's my role.
I think kind of similar to her, just leadership and working on being more vocal and just kind of being a great teammate and when things are hard and being like that energy source when things might be not going the way that we want them to go. So I think just a big part of my role this year is just going to be pouring into other people and uplifting our team and just kind of being aware of where we're at.
Take one more if anybody has it.
Coach, just over the off-season, what did you learn about roster movement with the current state of transfer portal and how it can change starting 5 so quickly?
Yeah, the game's certainly changed quite a bit, and whether you like it or don't like it, you have to embrace it. But at the end of the day, we're not going to change who we are. We've got our values in place, in who we are and how we want to show up every day, and I try to be very, very transparent in the recruiting process. I think that's really important because we're not a fit for everybody. This is becoming a little bit of a transactional business, and I don't align with transaction. I've always been transformational, and I want to pour into people. And some of the biggest victories in our program don't even come. They are far exceed what happened on that scoreboard. And we won some really big games over the years, but man, just to be able to pour into these guys and see them have success on the court, off the court, and grow and prepare themselves to be successful in life and go through adversity in that locker room and understand they can do hard things and how that's going to carry on later on in life. It's really powerful. Some people just want it to be a transaction of I'll play this many minutes, I can give you this, and I can give you that. But we're all about the holistic approach of the whole person, and unapologetically so. It does change rosters quite a bit, and sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it's kind of a head scratcher on why this happened or why that happened. But at the end of the day, players got to want you as much as you want them. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense, and it's not going to work.